YouTube crew, what is going on, and welcome back. Today we're talking about 3 must-have Warzone movements, things that you need in your arsenal in order to start becoming more successful and getting more kills. Now these are very basic movements, they're not super difficult to do, but I'm not seeing enough people using them to their advantage. This might be brand new to you and you've never done these before, or this could be the refresher that you need, that you really need to start using these more often. Whichever it is, if you find this video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let's go hashtag movement down in the comments below for the algorithm. And if you are looking to continue getting better at Warzone, make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell turned on so that you don't miss any videos. Let's get into it. Format for today, I'm going to be talking you through each movement, giving you some examples, and of course telling you why it's important, while rolling some gameplay highlights in the background that outline the movement that I'm actually talking about. So coming in at number 3, we have jumping, and I want to break jumping down into 2 categories: jumping while shooting and jump peeking corners. So first up is jumping while shooting. Now the reason that we do this is simple. We want to avoid some of our opponent's bullets. When it comes down to it, because of that level change, right, our opponent's going to be shooting us in the hip, the knee, the toe, something along those lines, and we're going to be shooting them, you know, upper torso, right? Neck area, head area. That's going to do more damage. So why we jump while shooting is very simple: to avoid some bullets. But let's talk about when we want to use this. And we primarily want to use this in close range 50-50 engagements. And the reason being is when you're at a further distance and you jump, your scope's actually going to move too much. You're going to be shooting over the person. But what you'll see in some of these clips is that slight jumping while shooting that I do, and generally it's just one time, kind of gives me the headshot that I need to ultimately get that down and eventually get that thirst. So this is one that it does take a little bit of practice, because you know, jumping and shooting at the same time does take a little bit of getting used to, but it's something that when used properly will start to allow you to get more kills. And we throw this under the jumping umbrella because jumping in Warzone is such a basic but important movement for you to understand. Next up under the jumping umbrella, we have jump peeking. And I apologize, I like going into detail because I like helping people get better. So I'm going to break this into 2 categories: offensive jump peeking and defensive jump peeking. Now with offensive jump peeking, we are the aggressor here. We know where that person is, whether it's from a UAV, whether it's from shouldering a corner, we know where that person is. Now what most people like to do is they slow peek the corner. They ADS, they slow peek that corner, they wait for that person to pop into their scope, and then they start shooting. But I want you to start playing more aggressive and jump peeking this corner. And what jump peeking is going to do is it's going to give you a few bullet advantage and make it harder for your opponent to actually hit you. Reason being is your opponent's going to have to track you as you're jumping across the screen, but you know where that person is. So as you jump peek that corner, you're going to be able to put your scope where you think that person is, make a slight micro adjustment if necessary, ultimately get shots on that person first, which will allow you to get that down and that thirst. Now for defensive jump peeking, this is where we talk about re-challenging. And if you haven't seen my re-challenging video, I'm going to leave it at the end of this one. But defensive jump peeking is the exact opposite. We're being chased, we're low health, we're trying to plate up, and we have to make a challenge. Now instead of doing what a lot of people do, which is just waiting for that person to come around the corner, holding it, holding a prison cell, holding something, I want you to start playing more aggressive, jump peeking this corner, and ultimately, again, what you're doing, and this is a little bit more of a close range situation, but what you're doing is you're breaking that person's camera. You are getting out of that person's camera angle, which is going to give you a huge advantage. That person is, you know, in offensive jump peeking, I say that person's going to have to make an adjustment. If you do defensive jump peeking correctly, this person isn't even going to know where you are. Meanwhile, you're going to make a slight adjustment with your aim, with your scope, and you're going to be able to hit this person downing and thirsting them. So start to use jumping to your advantage. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it is a crucial movement. It is a simple movement that will help you get better. Now, coming in at number 2, we have strafing. And again, like I said, these are must-have Warzone movements. There's a reason that I stayed away from complex things like bunny hopping. Strafing is something super simple that you can do, but I'm not seeing enough people actually use it. First, let's talk about when I use it. Mid to long range, ARs, totally up to you. If you are in a 50-50 situation where you're shooting at somebody and somebody's shooting back at you, either strafe and try to avoid some bullets, or have very good health awareness. Because if you're just standing still and that person has good aim, you're going to get torched. So if you aren't going to strafe at mid to long range because you have trouble tracking or whatever it may be, that's okay. Just have health awareness and don't go down in those situations. Now, for close range engagements, I really would suggest moving and strafing as much as possible. Moving left, moving right, moving back, whatever it may be. And the reason being is you never know when your opponent's going to turn and actually start shooting at you. Now, when strafing, especially when somebody's not paying attention, you still have to hit your shots. That's part of the practice of strafing. But ultimately, I want you to get comfortable and get used to moving left, moving right, moving back while shooting. Now, the specific situation I want to talk to you about is 50-50 engagements and why it's so important. This is basic math for you. Warzone is a race to 250 damage. Whoever gets to 250 damage first wins the 50-50. Now, if you're aiming at your opponent and your opponent is sitting still and you are hitting him in the chest, you are getting chest damage. What people don't realize is limb damage, your arms, is different than chest damage. So if you are strafing while shooting, and again, have good aim and are locked onto that person's chest and can keep it there, if you are strafing and you are mixing in some shots where he's hitting you in the limb, you're going to win that 50-50. And this is, again, where we talk about loadouts real quick. Let me pivot to loadouts. That aim walking movement speed, that's your strafing. That's why that perk or that advantage of some attachments is so important. But going back to strafing, it is something super simple you can do and implement in order to start avoiding more bullets and winning more close range gunfights. So now let's go into number one. Coming in at number one is an obvious one, but yet I don't think enough people do it. It is clearly and easily, undoubtedly, the most important movement in Warzone, and that's slide canceling. So if you do know how to do it, use this as your refresher to say, I need to do this more. You know, slide canceling is the most important thing when it comes to playing fast, which is the biggest differentiating factor between players who drop high kill games and players who do not. Players that are consistently successful and players who are not is playing fast, and slide canceling is the most important piece of that puzzle. You know, when you are on the defensive end, somebody basically gets a few bullets on you, you're running away. If you slide cancel, you get around that corner. Now you can play unpredictable, you can plate up, you can re-challenge. Well, what a lot of people do is they don't slide cancel, and now they can't get around the corner. Now they're down, now they're thirsted, now they're out of the fight. You know, offensive end, it allows you to get into engagements quicker. That could be the slight difference between catching somebody out in the open and somebody getting into a building. On the offensive end, you break somebody. Now you want to push. You slide cancel. You're playing super quick. It allows you to get the down and the thirst. Repositioning, you know, constantly moving, constantly playing fast. All these things come from slide canceling. So either A, really work on it and get better at it, or B, if you are good at it, start using it a lot more. I don't care if you're out in the open. Start slide canceling more. You know, that's another great example. You're crossing out in the open. A lot of people just running away. No, slide cancel, play fast. It allows you to get from point A to point B faster because of that tack sprint. So start to use this more to your advantage. I promise you it will make a difference. It will help you. I'm going to leave you with one example that ties everything together, all of these points together. But as I always say, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get better today, and I will see you tomorrow. Yep.
Guys, if you ever run into a shotgun, the move is to play back. The move is to play back. Notice I keep pulling away because I'm trying to get out of that range. It's really difficult to learn how to do, but it's the only way you're going to survive that.